较薄一些，这边很重，连续的几连飞。
In the actual moment of a fight, how can you improve your performance? How can you fight better during the event? Surprisingly, the answer is little to do with fighting techniques or fitness, but more to do with motivational psychology. Keep watching. Your performance in a fighting event is dictated by the ability of the person you are fighting, and this is completely out of your control. Yes, there are tactics in which you can try to psych out your opponent with body language and trash talking, but you can't rely on these techniques if you can't back it up with ability. In street fighting, there's an even wider set of variables that you can't control. The most obvious is the environment and the weather. In a street fight, you're at the mercy of many factors including poor lighting and uneven surfaces. Even worse when you experience a surprise attack, not to mention an escalation to weapons. You can prepare for these factors, but there is little you can do realistically for the unknown. Fighting performance can be seen as a sum of three components. The first component is the sum of your fighting abilities, your mental, physical and technical skills. To a certain extent, these are fixed for when you enter a contest or a fight. While you can improve them, it will take additional time outside of an event. The second component is the variables within the fight itself, the challenge offered by the opposition. You can't control your opponent's strength or their style of fighting. You can't control your environment or your location, even the weather. All of these factors will have a significant effect on your mindset. Hence the third is motivation. Consider fighting a person that's evenly matched in skills, technique, fitness and conditioning. The only thing that would separate you would be your motivation, what drives you to fight. This is something you can control by shifting your focus of what drives you to fight, basically your motivation. So what's the takeaway from this? Well, firstly, you have to manage the factors that you have direct control over at the moment in a given fight. Don't concern yourself with what you can't control. That time before the fight has passed. Therefore, when the fight is at hand, you're simply limited by your ability. Your performance on the day will come down to your ability. This is limited by how much you've learnt in the first place. If you haven't learnt much, you can't expect to perform well in a fight, as you don't know what you're doing. Having said that, there's always a glass ceiling on knowledge, as you can't possibly know everything. No one can. What you can do prior to a fight is be as versatile as possible. Be prepared to adapt your skill set. In fact, have a number of different skill sets to draw upon, in which to adapt to any situation. For example, have both striking and grappling skill sets, which will allow you to adapt accordingly. As I mentioned earlier, when all else is equally matched, ability, fitness and conditioning, what the fight will come down to is motivation. Who wants it more, whether you or your opponent is more motivated to win? Now this is something that you have direct control. You can decide from an early stage what you are fighting for, and therefore what drives you to fight. A simple method that I've mentioned in a previous video is a trigger mechanism. Firstly, you must be intrinsically motivated to fight, which most fighters are. However, when things get tough, you must visualize and see what you're fighting for, and this can make all the difference in your fighting performance. Thanks for watching.